And I wanted to mention to you here in the remaining time some virtues of the various nawafil. And from the book that is a very beautiful book to read often, it is the book called Riyadh al-Salihin, The Gardens of the Righteous, by Al-Haqq, Yahya ibn Sharaf al-Nawawi, rahimahullah, the one who died in the year 676, the Shafi'i scholar of Damascus. He has this book called Riyadh al-Salihin. It's a book of targhib and tarhib, invitations to virtue and warnings against vice. Very beautiful book. Study it much if you can. He was a scholar of hadith, and this book shines because, as Nawawi was a scholar of hadith, he put a condition on this book that he would not use in this book unauthentic narrations. And what also makes this book beautiful is that his second condition is that these narrations are wadihat. He has collected these narrations from those which are authentic and those which are easy in their wording, because he intended this book to be easy to understand for everyone. So then, from that book, the first narration comes from Habiba, that the Prophet ﷺ said, ما من عبد مسلم يصلي لله تعالى كل يوم 12 ركعة تطوعا غير الفريضة. There's no Muslim servant who prays to Allah the Most High every day 12 raka'ahs of optional prayer, غير الفريضة, on top of or aside from the obligatory raka'at, إلا بنى الله له بيتا في الجنة, except that Allah builds a house for him in paradise. أو إلا بني له بيت في الجنة, or it's been narrated as well, a house shall be built for him in paradise. And that was collected by Al-Imam Muslim. Why is that hadith not in our book Umdatul Ahkam?
Can't be in Bukhari and Muslim.
Because it's not in the Bukhari and Muslim, it's in Sahih Muslim. Al-Hafidh Abdul Ghani, his condition was those collected by Bukhari and Muslim, and occasionally when he needed a hadith to complete a thought, he would patch on one hadith from Muslim or Bukhari, not both, to complete a thought, a narration that he felt necessary to complete the idea. He would do that. But as for narrations in general that are only in Bukhari, that wasn't his target. Likewise, narrations that were only in Muslim and not in Bukhari, that also was not his target with the book Umdatul Al-Ahkam. Then the narration of Abdullah ibn Umar, he mentions that, the one we just read from Bukhari and Muslim, from our book Umdatul Al-Ahkam. But he mentioned another narration which is coming later for us in Umdatul Ahkam, the narration of Abdullah ibn Mughaffal. The Prophet ﷺ said, بَيْنَ كُلِّ أَذَانَيْن صَلَاةٌ, between every two adhans there's prayer. What's the meaning of between every two adhans there's prayer? Between every adhan and iqamah there is optional prayer. He repeated it a second time and a third time, and then he said, لِمَنْ شَاءَ, for whoever wishes, which clearly indicates that this is an option and not an obligation. We would be asking, is this an obligation? If it was confirmed as a khabar, there are 2 rak'ats between every adhan and the iqamah, in that case you would fear that that is an obligation. Here he says, liman sha'a, clarifying the matter for us that these are optional for those who wish for that virtue. Anyone know why that time would be blessed? Why that time would be important to pray between the adhan and the iqamah? Because between the adhan and the iqamah is a time where the dua is answered. And being in formal prayer means being in your very best situation when asking Allah Ta'ala. The Prophet ﷺ said in a hadith narrated by Aisha, collected by Imam al-Bukhari alone, كان لا يدع أربعا قبل الظهر. He used to not leave off 4 rak'ats before Dhuhr, وَرَكَعْتَيْنِ قَبْلَ الْغَدَاءِ 2 rak'ats before Fajr prayer, also called Al-Ghadat. We have Fajr also called As-Subh, and it's called Al-Fajr. Then we have the narration here in Riyadh al-Salihin from Al-Bukhari and Muslim, the narration of Aisha about how dedicated he was to the 2 rak'ats of Fajr. We've read that. And then the narration of it being better, those 2 rak'ats being better than this world and everything in it. I'm skipping some narrations here. Here's an important virtue collected by Abu Dawud and At-Tirmidhi in their Sunan, in the Sunan of Abi Dawud and the Jami' of At-Tirmidhi. The narration of Habiba She said that the Prophet ﷺ said, "Man hafaza ala arba'i raka'atin qabla al-dhuhri wa arba'in ba'daha." Whoever continually preserves 4 rak'ahs before dhuhr and 4 rak'ahs after dhuhr. So we got 4 rak'ahs of dhuhr itself, 4 before it and 4 after it. What is the reward for that? حَرَّمَهُ اللَّهُ عَلَى النَّارِ. And Allah will make him forbidden to enter the fire. حَرَّمَهُ اللَّهُ عَلَى النَّارِ. Allah Ta'ala will make him forbidden to enter the fire. That's dhuhr. And that is not a very well-known virtue of the raka'at before and after dhuhr. Here's the not widely known virtue of nawafil around the Asr prayer. That is, Rahim Allah, the statement of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Rahim Allah imra'an, may Allah have mercy on a man, Salla qabla al-asri arba'an. May Allah have mercy on the man who prays 4 rak'ahs before Asr prayer. Rawahu Abu Dawud wa Tirmidhi wa qala hadithun hasanun. It was collected by Imam Abu Dawud in his Sunan and Imam Al-Tirmidhi in his Jami', and Al-Tirmidhi said it's a Hasan hadith. And this is what Allah Ta'ala has made easy for us at this time. We ask Allah Ta'ala to make us from those who practice the very best of what we've heard from the Sunnah of our Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam. One final important note about the variations of sunnahs that are virtuous. And sometimes you may hear of the different kinds of raka'at that you can pray. And think of 4 rak'ahs before dhuhr and 4 rak'ahs after dhuhr. And if Allah Ta'ala doesn't make that easy for you because of your work schedule, you may feel down, you may feel like, I'm missing these very essential, sunnah prayers. Yet Allah Ta'ala makes doors open for His servants from many different angles. It is not the case that you're going to be able to do every optional prayer and every optional day of fasting and Umrah every year, Umrah twice in a year. You're not going to be able to say every phrase of dhikr throughout the day and the night. You're not going to be able to do that. And some of the students of Imam Malik, they used to blame him for missing some of the optional deeds. I forget if it was prayer or fasting or something. They used to say, why don't you do this and why don't you do that? And he showed them the beauty of the ease of Islam. He mentioned that Allah Ta'ala opens up doors for some of His servants, and they're different for each person. For this one, He opens up the door of fasting, and for this one, the door of prayers, and this one, the door of dhikr, this one, charity. So then, each person has in front of him what Allah makes easy for him. So if you find that you have time and you have ambition to pray the most virtuous of the sunnah, the nafilah prayers, and that's easy for you, and you find your soul being tranquil praying those, and you find it easy to stick to them, then take advantage of that and stick to them. And if you find that you don't have any money, then for every tasbihah, for every phrase of dhikr glorifying Allah, there's sadaqah, there's options for you to accomplish charitable things and to make up for your weaknesses in other areas. Don't think that to be the best Muslim means you're going to fulfill optional deeds in every category of all acts of worship. But rather go for what Allah Ta'ala makes easy for you. And stick to it. أَحَبُّ الْأَعْمَالِ إِلَى اللَّهِ أَدْوَمُهَا وَإِنْ قَلْ. The most beloved deeds to Allah Ta'ala, they are the ones done most consistently, even if they are few. And Allah Ta'ala knows best. صَلِّ اللَّهُمَّ وَسَلِّمْ وَبَارِكْ عَلَى نَبِيِّنَا مُحَمَّدٍ وَعَلَى آلِهِ وَصَحْبِهِ أَجْمَعِينَ.